We began right here in the United States, and it was a turbulent Tuesday as a contentious Texas immigration law went on a legal roller coaster. A federal appeals court has put a hold on a Texas immigration law which would allow state police to arrest and deport migrants who cross illegally into the United States from Mexico. The law, known as Senate Bill 4 or SB 4, has been strongly opposed by Democrats but was passed by the Republican majority in the Texas state legislature. Now, just last month, it was temporarily blocked by a federal judge, saying it was in conflict with key provisions of federal immigration law. However, earlier this month, the U.S. Supreme Court issued a temporary stay on SB 4, but the stay was lifted on Tuesday, allowing the law to actually take effect. Now, hours later, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals put the law back on hold. The court will continue hearing arguments on the issue today. Now, the U.S. Supreme Court rejected an emergency application from the Biden administration, which says that the law is a clear violation of federal authority and would cause additional chaos. The nation's highest court of 6-3 conservative majority and the 3 liberal justices on the Supreme Court had dissented. Now, liberal Justice Sonia Sotomayor wrote, Texas passed a law that directly regulates the entry and removal of non-citizens and explicitly instructs its state courts to disregard any ongoing federal immigration proceedings. That law upends the federal-state balance of power that has existed for over a century. Now, responding to the Supreme Court's decision, the White House said it would make Texas less safe, burden law enforcement, and sow chaos and confusion at the southern border. The decision also raised alarms among immigration activists. And there was also confusion on the ground about whether the law could actually be enforced.
It's not very easy to get this far but not make it to the US and to not send money to our families.
They should put their hand on their heart and act in favor of migrants because we have families just like they have families. We have to enter the United States. At least in my case, I am in political exile.
We came to work. We did not come to take anything from anyone. What we want is to work in the US, to send money to our children and to our families.
So far, Texas authorities have not announced any arrests made under the law, but the state has argued that it has a right to take action over what authorities have called an ongoing crisis at the southern border.
I think it passes constitutional muster. I think it's the right policy for the state of Texas. We have to have a secure border, and that's not just a Republican, ideal. That is independents, that is swing voters, that's even some Democrats who want a secure border. So SB 4 goes a long way to address that, and it should be the law in the state of Texas.
There's no argument for many of us in the Democratic Party from Texas or across the country that doesn't acknowledge that we need to address some issues along the border. We need to address those issues. President Biden and the administration worked in a bipartisan way with Senator Lankford to strike a deal on border security. That was sabotaged by former President Trump and his cronies in Congress. What we don't want is persons of color to be targeted for no other reason than the color of their skin.
Now, Texas Governor Greg Abbott praised the Supreme Court order and described the situation at the U.S. southern border as an invasion. Still, calling the law xenophobic, Mexico said it would not under any circumstances accept the return of any migrants to its territory from the state of Texas.
We are also at a critical moment with what the Supreme Court of United States has approved today. Yesterday it had put an impasse, but today it has approved the SB 4 law, which is an anti-immigrant, xenophobic, discriminatory law. So what are we doing? What can we do to address this negative narrative? I think the most important thing is to say that we have a human mobility strategy. Mexico has a unique model. There's no other country that is at the same time a country of origin, transit, destination, and return. That's us.
De tránsito, de destino y de retorno.
Now, this legal showdown comes as the Biden administration and Republicans continue to clash on border policy. President Biden is under immense pressure to address immigration policy and reform, which is among the top issues at the center of the 2024 presidential election. Republicans blame Biden for the record flow of migrants into the United States, while the White House accuses Republicans of deliberately sabotaging a bipartisan attempt to find a solution. December 2023 saw more migrant encounters at the U.S.-Mexico border than any other month on record. The U.S. Border Patrol recorded over 300,000 encounters with migrants also that month. However, that number dropped to almost half in January of 2024. And arrests for illegal crossings at the border were also at the highest in December of 2023. Border Patrol made nearly 250,000 arrests in December, the highest monthly tally on record. The arrests, however, fell by half in January to just over 124,000. Over 6.3 million migrants have been detained crossing into the United States illegally under the Biden administration, higher than under the last 3 presidential administrations. Now, the poll suggests that more than 2/3 of Americans disapprove of President Biden's handling of the issue. In recent weeks, the president has significantly stepped up his rhetoric on immigration, blasting his predecessor and 2024 rival Donald Trump on the issue. The political battle and legal back and forth on the immigration issue will only intensify as the election draws near.